how to do local SEO in 2021. In this video session, I'm going to share with you great insights about search engine optimization for local businesses. I'll touch base with you in terms of the base structure that you need on your website, what to focus on, as well as some SEO tips and tricks that I know for a fact will help you achieve better Google ranking results for your local business. Now, if you're new to search engine optimization, that's actually better than someone who has been reading about SEO, been thinking, oh, you know what, for SEO I need backlinks, Google Maps, citations, all this stuff. It doesn't work like that. Search engine optimization, we're focused in Google here, right? So whether it's Bing or other search engines, it's irrelevant because your website is your website. And the way search engines like Google work is, it says to itself, okay, when someone searches our search box, or when someone uses their smartphone and uses any Google apps to search, what can we show that is relevant to that search query? That's it. That's what Google wants. Yeah. Furthermore, because we're talking about websites, we're talking about words and so on, there is a lot of people who trying to trick Google or trying to find funny ways and so on. One of them is like backlinks or citations or creating worthless profiles for backlink purposes. So throughout many years, there's a lot of so-called clever people end up confusing the term SEO with what it actually is. Google therefore has webmaster guidelines. Now, you don't need to go and read and learn all that stuff, because this video tutorial will try to simplify what SEO really is. Now, the reason I say webmaster guidelines is important is because, for example, link schemes, right? Google has guidelines on it. So any links intended to manipulate Google rankings is considered to be a part of link scheme violation of Google guidelines. Now, why is that very important to understand? Now, you may have thought, okay, you know what? I'll watch this video so Ranker can share with me, his expertise so I can quickly rank my keywords. But without understanding Google guidelines, how can we rank in Google, right? So the reason I show you this here is because local SEO, if you search for local SEO services, how to do local SEO, here's a 100-point checklist that you need to do on your site. That's all silly. That's all rubbish. That's not how it's meant to be done. Okay? How it's meant to be done is that you understand what I've just said to you before. Is people search Google, and Google wants to show a website that answers that search query. Make sense? Now, that is why first thing to do in 2021, because Google is focusing on mobile device performance, so to speak, what you can do is use your keyboard. Using Google Chrome, you can press on F12, go to Lighthouse tab, and then conduct a performance to see, does your website load slow? If it is, in 2021, you need to focus there. Make sense? Apart from having all the right things on your website. Now, what does right things mean? What does right things mean on your local business website? Embedding Google Maps in your landing pages so that you can rank in Google Maps or local results that Google shows. Just go and place a Google map. Some idiots end up telling you or small business community to do that without understanding what it all is about. Okay. SEO is about user experience. Once you understand that concept, because when someone lands on your page, let's imagine this scenario. Someone searches for your local business. Google shows results. And what Google will do is it will swap the results around. It does that algorithm by using algorithms to see which web page answers that search query better. So therefore, improving the user experience on your landing pages, on your website, is actually help you rank in local search results or even in Google Maps. Okay, so as you can see, this is the core knowledge about SEO that I'm sharing with you, okay? Because if, let's imagine your website is not mobile friendly, everything is everywhere, someone lands here, they've searched Google, Google showed your web page, they came here to your website, to your web page, and they quickly browsed, because that's what people do. So therefore, placing headings intelligently so that when people land on your site, on your landing pages, they know. Let's imagine this scenario, right? Let's imagine search engine optimization tutorials or lesson by ranker. Let's search that. Now, here we've got some videos, but that's the landing page, right? If someone searched for this, Google says, okay, you know what? As far as we're concerned, this is the organic results that we believe will answer that search query. It didn't take me to a Facebook page. Make sense? It took me here. Because it knows by using its algorithms to say, you know what? You search for that. As far as we're concerned, this is the landing page. So therefore, when you look at that understanding and say, okay, you know what? How can I improve usability on my site? That's the lesson number one for local SEO. Well, in fact, there is no such thing as local SEO compared to, nationwide SEO. SEO is SEO. Search engine optimization is search engine optimization. Once again, it's about improving usability, presenting your content intelligently, understanding what Google does and how it works at a basic level. Then the rest is quite simple, really. Okay. In terms of local SEO, I'll show you a couple of my valued clients' websites so that you can kind of see what else you can do, right? So let's get into it and let's learn a little bit more different concepts. Let's imagine that you're offering pest control services, computer repairs, and so on. Since you're a local business, then it's very clear that if you're a, let's say laptop repairer, repairs in Brisbane where, right? Brisbane by itself for Google doesn't mean anything. But Brisbane, Australia now, that word Brisbane means something to Google. Makes sense? Because what Google does is it analyzes one word. Makes sense? Focus along those lines when you think of SEO. Just one word. Not two, not three, not five, and so on. Just one word. So your job as a website owner or an SEO person who works for clients is to understand that fact about Google. Makes sense? So therefore, your job is to guide Google as to say, you know what, Google? That word Brisbane in this example is about a city in Australia. Make sense? So how can we do that? On our website then, we just say, okay, you know what? Brisbane by itself doesn't mean anything, but can we use other words that can tell Google, you know what, Google? We're talking about Brisbane in Australia. We're talking about the word Brisbane in Queensland. And how we do that is we use keywords throughout our website, and we use linking. That means if you create a blog post, which you should, even if you're operating a small business, even if you're operating a local business, even if you're operating an e-commerce site, blogging is absolutely important for Google rankings. Why? Why is because if you're answering questions, that means that's what Google wants. It wants to show websites that answers questions, right? Surely, as a small business owner, you want to rank for the most searched keywords that you know it's going to get you the most customers, right? But for you to be able to do that, it doesn't matter what type of website you create, if you do not use blog posts to answer long tail keywords, because from within the long tail keyword targeting, you can use words to link back to your other important pages. Make sense? That's why you must do blogging, because without those links pointing back to your important pages, it's very difficult to rank in Google. Meaning, that's why there is a lot of backlink services out there, because backlinks are important. When I say backlinks are important, don't make a mistake by thinking, oh, Rankia said backlinks are important, let me go get 100 backlinks. It doesn't work like that. Natural backlinks are important. That means if you're managing a Facebook business page, then you will every now and then create the blog post and then share it. And when you share it, you can use links within the description of your post. If you are managing a YouTube channel, if you're a small business owner, YouTube is a great way to obtain natural backlinks. You create a short video about the services you're offering, something short, down to earth, then within the description of the video, you can link back to your website. That's the natural link. Makes sense? Because it's okay, it's not against Google guidelines for you to promote your own business. But if you end up looking for shortcuts and by backlinking services or by citation services thinking you're gonna rank in local results, then it's gonna push your rankings down without you knowing. That's the worst. But when you create blog posts that answers questions, encourage people to share that. Because if I was to share this blog post, that means I'm sharing whatever is in the content. Therefore, that link will be shared externally and Google will follow that. And that's a natural backlinking. What else can you do? Now, we've created this image. Images play an important role for Google rankings. And most people, they don't understand that. Now, I'm more than certain that it's difficult for you to go and create original images. But if you can, definitely modify images for your website, for your local rankings. Now, for my valued client, I actually create these original images. Now, I'm going to share with you a couple of tips and tricks here. Because Google is an image search engine, right? So now, when you create the images, when you use words within that image, Google analyzes many things, right? So now let me guide Google here, right? So this is how you're meant to do image optimization for Google rankings as well. Because remember what we're doing. We're trying to guide Google by using words on our website. We're trying to guide Google by using links on our website. But we can also use images, and most websites do have images. If that's the case, when we can create original images, that's much better. But if you can't create original images, there is many different websites whereby, you know what, you can just go and grab open source images. That means you don't even need they don't ask for attributions. But if in your privacy policy you can say, okay, you know what, we do source our stock images from the website that you're getting from, that's actually better, right? But let's imagine we say, okay, you know what, this is the image I want to put on my website. Okay, so let's download it. By itself, it doesn't mean anything, right? But now let's try and rank in Google. Let's try and say to Google, you know what, Google, that web page that we've created, let's imagine it's about Apple Mac computers. I can say, okay, you know what, how can I guide Google better now? Then I can say, okay, Google, you know what, there's a young female using her Apple Mac laptop. Now, when I upload this image, I have to think, okay, you know what, it's 2021. Having a huge image doesn't make sense when the web page probably only renders 800 pixel wide. Now I can further optimize this image, which I'm not going to because I've already got a video tutorial showing you how to do that. But at basic level, even if you do this only, that's good enough for you. Right? Now, look at that now. Now that image complements the target keywords that we want to rank for, which was Apple Mac repairs, laptops, and all that stuff. So as you then publish your blog posts targeting, related words, being useful for your ideal customers, if someone searches for this, from Australia, surely Windows or Apple Mac is, let's say, in URL electric, and I think that's not indexed. We've just created that. Okay, let's search for this. And that's it. Now, as you publish more blog posts, the words laptop, computers, repairs, Brisbane, Australia will all increase on this site, making our job much easier for ranking in local results, ranking in Google Maps as well, right? So it's all about guiding Google by using words. It's all about guiding Google by using images and the words within the file name, right? Now, recently I came across local SEO information telling you to include Google Maps here on your landing pages that you want to rank for. That's catch-22. Remember, everything you place on your website, on your landing pages, must be done for improving usability. And if you think Google Map is going to help improve usability, then place that on your website. But if it doesn't, then perhaps not. Always think that everything placed on a landing page must be there for a reason. And towards the end of your conversation, always triple make sure that you have some sort of a call to action. Don't let your visitors be scratching their head thinking, what's next? Guide them as to what's next. Now, natural backlinks, easy. You share your content. You can ask your friends if they do have websites or social profiles to share the content that you create on your website. Also, let's imagine you're a typical local business owner. That means there will be many different suburbs that you want to target and rank for. If that's the case, make sure that each landing page that you create for different suburb targeting is unique. It answers the question. Remember, keyword targeting is nothing more than answering questions. If on this sample landing page we're talking about residential pest control in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, then it's your job, if you operate a similar business, as a small business owner, as a local business owner, it's your job to answer the question. When you target it, then you just say, okay, you know what is the URL? The URL structure is very important. If you do target different locations and have different suburbs, then guide Google. Because really, think of Google as a human being looking at that URL. It's going to say, okay, you know what, that's the website, service areas, that's the location, and this landing page is about residential pest control. If that's the case, you name the URL accordingly, knowing that you're guiding Google and also people. Because when someone looks at that, they know what this landing page is about, right? And Google analyzes that as well. So then by using plugins, you can have your title, you can place a description, you can logically, don't be thinking about Google rankings when you create content. First, you think of, okay, you know what? I'm going to create a very useful, informative content answering the words that I'm placing. Makes sense? In this example, what is important for that person who wants this service? So this landing page should be focused on catering for the residential customer. So, although this valued client offers commercial pest control as well, there's no point talking about commercial pest control on this particular landing page. Makes sense? But remember the URL structure. In this example, the main location is a landing page in itself. From within that, we can branch out to different target locations. Makes sense? So just create different landing pages that are unique, useful, according to the words that you're targeting. So if you're offering different services for different neighborhoods and so on, then create new unique landing pages accordingly. Make sense? It's that simple, really. And then it's just a matter of putting out more content, putting out more internal linking, so you link toward your important pages from your blog posts. Because then over time, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and so on, depending on the industry that you're in, the keyword, the linking count will increase. And then if you slowly, naturally share your own content on your own social profiles, then that's definitely going to help your local rankings. And you do so within Google guidelines. You don't need to go and get citations, backlinks, all that stuff, right? But what if you say, okay, what else can I do? Here is what else you can do. You can add local business markup. If you operate within multiple locations and you do have business address in multiple locations, then you can place that within the local business markup. Furthermore, depending on the type of business that you're operating, you can include area served schema markup, further guiding search engines who look at schema markup. Make sense? This is very simple. Rank Your website does have sample local business markup. Okay, so whether you have multiple locations or whether you operate within just one address, one business address. Make sense? Having structured data, placing local business markup on your perhaps About Us page or your home page and so on, that's definitely going to help your local business rankings, okay? Now, what else can you do? Remember, it's all about content marketing. That means if you do have the opportunity or you want to invest a little bit more money, you can create PDFs, right? You can create PDFs because Google can understand PDFs as well. Within PDFs, you can have links pointing to some parts of your website. In 2021, above all else, remember, the most critical element, in fact, Google will, in 2021, mark my words, change the entire scope of Google rankings. That's why be ready. Don't wait till it's too late. be ready in a sense, have your website fully optimized, doing the right things, but make sure that your website performs great on a mobile device and it loads I shouldn't say very fast, because that will depend on the type of website that you have and the content that you're putting out. But make sure it's relatively fast loading so people don't wait around. Because if you don't fix that, then I can basically assure you, that's one of my predictions, within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, within this year, Google will change the entire ballgame for Google rankings. And the most important element will be page load times and mobile user experience. Because as I've said at the beginning, it's all about user experience. But on a desktop, user experience differs compared to someone visiting this particular landing page on a mobile device. Make sense? That's why focus on page load time improvements. Do all the right things, because SEO is really, really easy when you understand it. You don't need to do any funny stuff or get backlinking packages, all that stuff, right? It takes a bit of time, but nonetheless, you need to persist because your business deserves your efforts. That's how you build authority on the internet. Put out the right content, put out useful content, and keep chiseling at it. Do all the right things as I've shown to you. Understand what SEO is. Always stay away from silly people trying to sell you funny SEO ideas. Then I can basically guarantee that you will get higher rankings for all the keywords that you target. And I'll talk with you in the next video session.